chicken.
All right, hot off the press, ladies and gentlemen, hot off the press. It is 8 in the morning as I'm recording. I've got a bunch of other videos that are being worked on in the process after this, but I gotta get this video out ready and quick. Today, we got ourselves a major update on the Elon Musk Twitter deal, and that is that, well, you've already saw the title. Elon, the man, the myth, the legend, the man himself, yes, he has officially bought Twitter. No, this is not clickbait. He actually managed to buy the whole site successfully. And that video that I just showed you right on the beginning, that was Elon Musk walking into the Twitter HQ, holding a sink, basically already confirming that yes, he is officially one of the owners of Twitter now. It's pretty much official at this point. Multiple outlets are reporting that he officially managed to buy the site. Link in the description to one of them, archived of course. If I do remember correctly, I think off the top of my head, this is like a $44 billion deal just to outright buy Twitter at its entirety. This story actually was, of course, reported on a lot earlier in this year, back in like March, April, May, somewhere around that time frame. But things kind of like fell through for a while during the summer. There was like, a ton of like debate on whether or not Twitter's user base was actually a bunch of bots. And, Elon didn't want to buy a website that is run entirely by bots. And speaking of bots, does anybody else get like these tweets? Like those stupid NFT crypto scam tweets that you keep getting in your mentions and replies nonstop? Does anybody else get those? I'm probably not the only one. But yeah, those are some of the examples of the bots that are, found on Twitter that Elon was worried about, which actually made sense because I'm not entirely sure that a tech geek like Elon would be interested in acquiring a site and fixing it if it's riddled with too many bots. Now, I did mention this on one of my other videos talking about the Twitter deal. The idea that bots are riddled on your site is actually pretty damaging to a reputation of a site. Elon obviously understood this, hence why he was thinking about pulling out of the deal earlier in the summer. There are also other problems involving the site that he didn't want to have any involvement with. This in turn, because of the problems that were discovered on Twitter and because of already existing problems, this is why Twitter's stock is undervalued. This is also why around May, June, July, Twitter's stock value went in complete freefall. My guess is that Elon understood that there was problems, saw that the Twitter stock value was being affected by those problems, so he didn't want to go with the initial deal, and he wanted to fix some of the problems it had by having more influence of the company, and also by getting it at a cheaper price, because again, Twitter stock value dipped because of the revelations that he discovered. That sounded like a pretty genius idea at first, but I don't think Elon was pretty much aware that Twitter would hold out for so long with the suit and the legal proceedings. And trying to prove botting on your site really isn't the easiest thing when you really think about it, judging by how many users are on Twitter. Has to be in the billions. And then earlier this month, he did announce that he wanted to drop the suit and go forward with the initial deal, and we were expecting the deal to be finalized sooner than expected. Now, I tried to record a video on this, but of course, Hurricane Ian had to happen. But really, Elon didn't want to deal with the legal trouble. He wanted to renegotiate the deal. Trying to prove bots on a site with millions of users is not as easy as you think. Not to mention, I don't think he even realized that Twitter was going to hold out for just so long. One of his objectives as to why he wanted to pull out of this deal around midsummer was to force Twitter to acknowledge the problems that the site has, which of course includes bots, while at the same time he also wanted to save money on the deal. Unfortunately, that idea fell through. He takes the L. But on the contrary, he does take a huge W on the side. Not only for just acquiring Twitter in the end, he has already taken action day one of being the owner of Twitter. He has already fired the CEO of Twitter, he has fired the CFO, and he's fired a bunch of other people now that he has control of the company, which obviously is going to inevitably make every leftist hectic as they worry and complain about it becoming a free speech platform. Oh my god, if people can express themselves, they all have opinions that I don't agree with. And just to keep things $1.50, I think the impact and the changes on Twitter won't be immediate. I don't think major changes are going to happen right away. Like everything is going to be so much better all at once. It's going to be a gradual shift, and it will also be a lot more balanced. he also managed to indirectly purge a bunch of the SJWs from Twitter, not just by firing the CEO. Like, if you guys don't recall, right when he announced that he was going to buy Twitter back in early April, a lot of the pink and blue-haired social justice people that were working there, as with every Silicon Valley tech company nowadays, all of these woke kids that were working at Twitter, right when they found out about the news, they immediately flipped out, went completely nuts, and some of them literally quit. They stopped working for them. They left the company. Now, others that are still there, the ones that are still working, are probably now dejected, and more than likely, those people will quit as well. Or maybe they'll get fired too. I think that's great. That's what we like to see. It's a purge of the worst aspects of the site in general. The poison within the site that was slowly leaching its strength is being shoved out and away, and most of those people didn't even get fired. They just quit on their own. They'll go and work for another company or learn how to program. And if they already know how to program, then they'll just build their own site. They can create their own startup if they want to. After all, this is Silicon Valley. Without doing pretty much anything, the man himself was able to involuntarily sanitize some of the worst elements of Twitter to leave Twitter, just by announcing that he would buy Twitter. So now that the deal has been finalized, now that Elon buying Twitter is officially a done deal, some of you guys might be asking, what now? What's next? What is going to happen now that Elon owns Twitter? Well, I can think of a list of things that needs to be done and a list of things that are most likely are going to be done anyway. One thing I do like to point out, and Elon actually already thought about this idea from the get-go, as well as pointing out multiple solutions and many different ways to achieve this, and that is that Twitter will probably begin pulling back some of the more rigorous restrictions on users. For starters, making sure that people are not banned permanently and indefinitely. That bans would be more limited and whatnot, unless it's for illegal behavior like doxing, threats, libel, slander, defamation, things like that. That can be dealt with on its own accordingly. Strikes would also no longer be permanent like they currently are or were on Twitter. I really cannot think of any other site that actually does that. YouTube doesn't really give you that many strikes, but after a month or so, they, go away. So why does Twitter have to be the hard ass? Somebody complained about you 10 years ago, back when you were an edgy 13-year-old, and gave you a strike. And now somebody else complains about something that you posted 10 years ago when you were 13 years old and you get another strike. And now you're fucked for a while. Who knows? Maybe another post that you made 10 years ago as an edgy 13-year-old kid gets seen too. And then after 3 strikes, your account is done. That's it. Game over. This is what happens on Twitter. It is a very relentless system. The whole idea of banning people permanently appears to be completely perilous. And in addition, the idea of banning people instantly for what really is innocuous and mild behavior is likely perilous too. For instance, you can be banned off Twitter for misgendering somebody. You can be banned off Twitter for dead-naming somebody. You can get banned off Twitter by stating that men and women exist. You can be banned off Twitter for making a harmless joke towards the wrong person. You can list a bunch of facts, figures, and certain statistics and still get banned off Twitter. You can state scientific facts and still be banned off Twitter. You can engage in misinformation that Twitter then later reinstates, well, that actually wasn't misinformation at all, and still get banned off Twitter, recalling that Hunter Biden case. And even if Twitter has to apologize to everyone stating that they were in the wrong, you still can't get reinstated and get your account back. And you can't make a new one either. So now that the man himself is the sole owner of Twitter, now that the deal has been finalized, every T is crossed, every I is dotted, the check has been signed, and the full amount is paid, and everything has been settled 100%. Now here's what I think should happen next. Elon should start and lead the way with a brand new standard for other tech firms. For starters, getting rid of the arduous hard-ass rules that have been passed on these platforms over the last 6 years, and go back to the original system that worked much better around 2010 through mid-2016. That was the golden age of the internet around that time frame. This was also before YouTube implemented that demonetization thing. And get rid of that anti-misinformation campaign hogwash, because it has nothing to do with actually fighting misinformation, and it's doing more harm than good, and stop working with the Biden administration and the US government, amongst others, to do it, by the way, and stop banning people for harassment when they're not really harassing anybody to begin with. As well as even for parodying things as a joke, like satire accounts get shit canned too. The Babylon Bee got completely hammered nonstop by Twitter just for making satire articles that aren't even real to begin with. The Onion is another example. They get shit canned too. PewDiePie used to go through this type of shit on a routine basis ever since that Washington Post stink piece on him, just for making edgy jokes, by the by. And I used to love the content PewDiePie used to put out, and I still love watching him to this very day. Like back in my early high school years, I used to love watching Leafy is Here, I used to watch Rice Gum, No Fuckers, and I miss watching Leafy is Here. I love watching Drama Alert and tuning in every day and watching what Keemstar has to say. I loved watching Scarce back in 2016. All of the content that we've seen around 2015, 2016, around that time frame, whether that be Leafy is Here, Rice Gum, No Fuckers, Supaz, Dylan the Hacker, Drama Alert, Scarce, iDubbbz, all of those people, and the content they push out, that's the sort of thing that makes the internet fun. In fact, that's exactly what makes the internet fun. Twitter has become an absolute dumpster fire of banning things that are fun in favor of infinite fortified echo chambers and people screaming at one another. That's the other problem. Twitter and similar companies actually lend themselves into creating extremism and these toxic cesspits by creating walled-off echo chambers of users through their algorithms and through their bans and all that sort of thing. That right there is the crux of the issue. Someone who's completely non-toxic gets banned. Meanwhile, someone who's actually saying crazy shit, actually saying illegal things, doesn't even get looked into. Not to mention, because of Gonzalez versus Google, we might also have the possible reevaluation and amending of Section 230 by the US Supreme Court at some point coming soon. After Gonzalez versus Google, at some point these tech firms are gonna have to prioritize going after illegal content, and you're not really going to have any of the moderating capabilities to go after all the other things that the legacy media, the left, and all of these pink and blue-haired morons in your companies want you to go after anyway, because there is a chance that you might and will get smacked down, probably by the Supreme Court. I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to uphold 230 protections in their current state because they go well past the actual concept of 230. Gonzalez versus Google is definitely helping out with that. I'm pretty sure Elon has to be made aware of this if he's not already. Musk should already be aware of Gonzalez versus Google anyway. Let's face it, he is far from stupid, and he's also a lot smarter than you think. There shouldn't be any censorship of any kind, at least towards American users and other users in the Anglophone world, on any American-based platform for protected speech. And this shouldn't exclusively apply to US users, but anybody else in the world. It doesn't matter if somebody disagrees with it, it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't like it, and it doesn't matter if they're offended. Like, the whole idea of blocking somebody on a platform entails that we reject the idea that it is important that we cancel people and that a firm kicks someone off the platform just for offending another person, no matter how atrocious the offense may be. If it's not illegal, if it's not defamatory, and if it's not a dox or a threat, call them out and block them. Dennis Prager from PragerU has this quote, "I wholly disapprove what you just said, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. If you don't like it, just don't pay attention to it. God forbid something was on TV or on the radio that you find problematic. Don't write up to the TV station or the radio station complaining. Don't try to get the episode taken off the air. Don't try to get the TV show canceled. And don't try to get the song taken off the radio. Nobody is forcing you to watch Brandon Rogers. If you don't like what Brandon Rogers does on his channel, if you're offended and you don't like any of his dark and edgy comedy in any of his sketches, which is pretty much nothing but dark and edgy comedy anyway, then don't watch Brandon Rogers. Nobody is forcing you to watch him. Nobody is forcing you to watch Hell of a Boss or Smiling Friends or any of these other edgy cartoons. Turn it off. Switch the channel, throw your TV out the fucking window if you want to. Just deal with the fact that there are things in this world that you don't like. This applies especially towards my generation, Generation Z. We're not kids anymore. We're grown-up adults now. Now's the time to start acting like one. The idea of blocking people and ignoring them on the internet has been around since social media first became a thing, by the way. It's funny because I remember seeing millennials going out and saying, haha, hey boomer, I'm being edgy. If you don't like what I'm doing, all you gotta do is block me. They used to be obsessed with watching RT and reading anonymous posts on 4chan talking about how 9/11 was an inside job. Now when I look at Generation Z, it's the exact opposite. Generation Z, meanwhile, is saying, these multi-billion-dollar mega corporations really need to do more to silence people on the internet, because CNN told me that there's a bunch of Russian disinfo and alt-right neo-Nazis and white supremacists that plague the internet. So I'm glad that the deal has been finalized. I'm glad that he finally bought Twitter. I'm glad that he's actually doing something. He's already taking action with firing the CEO and other people, and amongst other things. Now hopefully Twitter improves as a website now that it has a new owner, because if it doesn't, it will die as a website and Elon will lose money. But I'm hoping that's not the case. All we gotta do is just wait and see what happens next. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the little notification bell. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias, links are in the description below. And don't forget to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm curious to see what your predictions are for Twitter now that Elon bought Twitter. What are your predictions? What will happen to the site? I'd like to hear all your thoughts down in the comments below, as always. And I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date with anything happening around the world because I'm your guy. I'm your news guy. So don't forget to turn on those notifications once you've subscribed so you don't miss out on the latest upload. And there will also be a pinned comment down below to my Discord server in case you guys want to send ideas, news tips, and chit chat with me, as well as even play video games with me. And there's also other video hosting sites that I use that will also be in that same pinned comment down below as well. Don't forget to follow me on all there. And as always, like, subscribe, ring notifications, and until then, take care, talk soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.